Hello, everyone, and welcome to Jump Up Supercast, the only podcast on the internet where all of us are going to be main staging at EVO next year. I'm your host, Will. Joining me today, Brandon.
Dude, I'm gonna be up in EVO. We're gonna be there live. I'm gonna be housing everybody and Mario Tennis Aces because it's actually a fighting game.
The truest fighting game. Also joining me, Noah.
I hope they don't have Melee at EVO this time.
And Muzamil.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
I was teeing it up for Moose, but Noah knocked it down first.
I was like, yeah, hopefully Mario Tennis is replacing Melee next year. But
Well, no, we're gonna replace Melee next year. Just a live recording of our podcast on stage will be the game.
Us.
People fighting us in real life with our actual fists. Just can you beat up the Jump Up Supercast?
that's a lot more entertaining than like the 27th year of Melee, you know.
That's-
So
yeah.
Stop. We're gonna stop.
I liked where you were going with that, Muzzy.
He was up stage. He was playing Melee earlier today. You don't even want to hear it. He was.
I was not.
He
Who
was.
played Melee in the year 2018?
He was reading up on the Smash Brothers lore. He's doing it. But this is the Jump Up Supercast. You know what? We're feeling loosey-goosey this week. Saf's tucked into bed. We're all just feeling it, you know? It's okay.
I'm in that post E3 depression, you know. It's just like, man, no more video games.
Yeah, that Nintendo has no games for the rest of the year depression.
Nintendo has no games. You know,
They're actually a dead company.
It's all downhill from here. You know what I mean? Like it's like everyone's like Mario Tennis is like, you know, and it's like everyone's there. It's just bringing me down. I'm so sad right now.
There's a lot of good video games coming out, though, for reals. If we're gonna be on the reels.
Where we dropping, boys?
Where we dropping, boys?
Only game you need is dropping in Fortnite.
When are we doing a jump up? When is the Jump Up Supercast getting a victory royale?
That's it.
All right, the four of us.
Oh, never. There was a time. That time has passed.
Well,
We're a bunch of babies. Bill Trinan got a victory royale with no kills. I don't know how he did it. He's a coward.
I could do that. I got one with one. Muzzy was there.
yeah, me and Brandon survived to the end, and Brandon got the last kill.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
My one and only.
Well, like you were saying, we are in that post E3 lull, right? All the video game companies, they did their announcements. Now there's not the announcements, right? And so we talked about the games last week. We talked about the games that we were excited for. But, you know, I'm still in that E3 mindset, you're right. Still thinking people are still reacting. Still the hot takes flying all across the internet about the Electronic 3. And I thought that it would be an interesting conversation to have, because we talked about the games that were at E3 last time. Let's have a conversation about the games that were not at E3 in a segment that I like to call the Last Guardian Memorial Missing in Action. These are the games that were rumored, that were announced, that were just heavily desired, that we didn't see at E3, right? Some of them we might have been expecting, some of them we might not have been. But I want to go through them and just have us have a conversation about, like, do we think they're going to be coming out? Where do we think they are, right? What do we think that they're going to end up being in the long run? Because these are the questions that we live to speculate for. So I guess first and foremost, we will get to sort of what I would refer to as the Walmart trio. Because these were the three that were on the Walmart leak that was right on every other account, but we did not hear from at E3 this year. First and foremost, one that I know personally Brandon has investment in. We didn't see any Borderlands 3.
Yeah. So, I think going into E3, 2K had announced that, hey, we're delaying a mysterious title of a franchise that sells a lot. And it's like, okay, this is probably Borderlands. So,
Yes.
I wonder, so my assumption would be Borderlands was going to show up at some point, you know? And then because the game got delayed, and, you know, nowadays I think publishers prefer to show games a little bit closer to release, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, well, if we show Borderlands now, it's not the time, right? So it's a little bit ways off, so we're gonna hold off. So, but like, I wonder where it is. It's been how long ago was Battleborn? I feel like it's been some time.
2 years.
Battleborn was 2016. Excuse me. You're right.
Oh, okay, only 2 years. Okay, in that case, okay, I don't know if it's that big of a deal that we haven't seen Borderlands, but it's been a while since since Gearbox has had a success.
Yes, and we saw a screenshot for Borderlands 3 back in 2014, right? They're like, here's our engine for Borderlands. We have not seen a Borderlands 2 since 2012. So I guess the question is, we have not seen a Borderlands on this generation. It was one of the biggest successes of last gen. Brandon, you said you had personal investment in it.
Yes.
What do you want out of a Borderlands 3 at this point? Has it been so long that you want a reinvention, or are you just like, give me...
No, I mean, I don't think we need a reinvention, really. It's hard to say. For me personally, I just want more of what they established in Borderlands 2, but obviously building upon it. I don't think they need to really reinvent the game. I love Borderlands 2. Man, I love the first one, but then, man, the second one just absolutely blew it out of the water. And then, I mean, with the pre-sequel, it was a different developer, so that one not being as good is, that's fine. I just hope, what I'm most interested in is just, new classes, new guns, new monsters. I hope it takes place on a whole new planet. Maybe even, planet jumping, so they can have a lot of different, different areas you can visit. Like, they can get really experiment.
We live in that now, right? Like, we live in the era where, here's Beyond Good and Evil, where they're promising, a whole, a whole solar system to explore.
Well, I mean, I remember one of the rumors was for, Borderlands 3 would be called, or even, I think it might have been Borderlands 2 was going to be called Border Worlds. So... Yeah.
I remember, yes.
That's a terrible name.
It is a stupid name, I agree. I hope I hope it's just
they
Borderlands.
Should just stick with Borderlands 3.
Yes.
They'll stick with Borderlands 3, but the sentiment of, multiple world jumping, right? Because, so much of one was, about Pandora, right? The guy leads off. It's the first word you hear is Pandora. And so you're like, that's where you go from. But yeah, so, do we think... Here's the question. I'll sort of ask these for all of them. Do you think that we will see Borderlands 3 by the next E3? Will we know that it exists in some capacity?
I'm gonna say yes.
By next E3, yeah. It has to be, right? It's been long enough. I would be concerned if we don't see it next E3.
Start sweating, start wiping your brow.
Ooh. In fact, I'd be concerned if we don't see it by the Game Awards. I don't know. We'll see, I guess, but.
Yeah, there are multiple venues to show it off. I wonder. I don't know. It's weird insofar as I think it feels like that's a game that shows up at a Microsoft event. I don't know what the Microsoft event always show up is, But also, I feel like it's big enough you could just launch a trailer for it and that's fine.
Yeah, you can announce it whenever, right? But I don't know. For me, it really feels like a Game Awards thing. I don't know. It just screams.
You're probably right.
Game Awards, but we'll see.
Yeah. Next up on the Walmart listing. There was one that I think was the one I was walking into the E3 thinking, this is just a lock. This is going to happen. This is going to be a thing. It's Splinter Cell, right? And it felt like it in the conference, right? They ended with Assassin's Creed Odyssey at Ubisoft, and Ubisoft loves to have the one more thing. And so Assassin's Creed Odyssey, the demo happened. They said, we did it. We look at this Assassin's Creed game, looks great. And then you had that, there was a pause where you thought, oh, something's going to happen, they're going to do something weird and it's going to hard cut to the goggles lighting up for the new Splinter Cell game. But we didn't see it at all. And you're like, do you think... I have a pet theory. Do you want to hear Will's dumb pet theory?
Sure.
I think they might have thought that they would do a hacking of the conference thing for Splinter Cell, and then Cyberpunk did the same thing at Microsoft the day before, and they were like, "Fuck, god damn it, this is my thing. We're gonna save it for Gamescom because they already blew our gimmick."
No, it's so weird, right? Because Ubisoft themselves have given fuel to that fire, right?
Ghost Recon Wildlands.
Yeah,
they added Sam Fisher in the game.
Yeah, so it's what the hell are you doing, Ubisoft? Why are you teasing this game that's not necessarily ready to be revealed yet. I don't know. Is Splinter Cell but then like, we always have the Yves Guillemot's always coy about it, right? He's like, no, I mean, Splinter Cell's not really happening right now, but we hear you, blah blah blah. But it's like, I don't know. Like, it's weird for Ubisoft to like be putting him in stuff like Ghost Recon and then be like, oh, just kidding, like we're not actually doing this. I don't know. That has to be happening at some point, right? I don't know. It's
surely, and it's been a while, right? It's been like I feel like that's like one that's prime for like here's a weird new thing we're doing, because there's been such a long. I think Blacklist was the last one, and that was like 2012 too. Like it's it's time.
It's been some time,
but I feel like that's one that we definitely see before E3 next year, right? Am I crazy?
I don't know. I could see it not showing up until next E3. Like I don't know if Ubisoft really does big reveals outside of E3, do they?
I mean, it feels like a Gamescom type thing, maybe.
I don't think Ubisoft really does anything there, but I don't know. It's weird. It's just like why wasn't this at E3? I don't know. Well, who knows? Maybe it's genuinely not in development yet. Maybe Yves wasn't lying to us.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know, because it's funny because like they were even like in the Wildlands DLC, like they were like they like sort of did a reference to like Solid Snake and how like Metal Gear Solid is like doesn't have him around anymore, where he's like someone says like you're the only one left in the game doing it, Sam. He goes not even that other guy with the bandana. He goes, no, he's not around anymore, and you're like, well.
Wow.
When you're saying you're the only one left in the game, I assume that means that you have something to put out there,
Yeah.
But who knows? And then the last one. This one, I mean, this is an announced one, but man, it's been radio silent for 3 years now. Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Okay. I mean, no one should have expected it to show up, to be honest. Like, we know that they just rebooted it, like, within a year, They scrapped everything that they had. They changed developers. Like, this game is in a terrible state. It is I think we can now officially say it's a next-gen game, right? Like, this game is not going to come out on the PlayStation 4. There's no way in hell,
Well, I feel like I got a really good question, especially with that room.
Yeah.
Is it going to show up on Microsoft's console?
That's the thing. I mean, the Walmart leak had it on Microsoft's console, which was part of the thing, right? So there was the thought.
At this point, you would think, like, if I'm Square, I'm like, okay, I want to recoup as many costs as possible, because this is going to be a extremely expensive project, let's put it on as many platforms as we can, would be my thinking. Because, I mean, like I said, they just scrapped 2 to 3 years worth of work. That could not have been, like, an easy decision. That's a lot of money lost already,
Yes.
So, I don't know. I would put it on Xbox.
Yeah, like it's at some point there's like a sunk cost fallacy to it, with like putting out this game where they're like, we've already delayed it 4 years. What's another year, 2 years to to make it enough where it'll be getting 9s and 10s instead of 8s and 9s, like.
At the very least, Square, I think, does know that, hey, like, we cannot just ship out a shitty product, right? Like, this game has to be amazing. It has, because the expectations for this game are sky high. I mean, it's remaking the most beloved Final Fantasy game.
Oh, yeah.
And just the things they're promising about it, right? Like, the scale that people are looking for. So, I don't know, like, they have a massive undertaking. And I don't know if you've played Final Fantasy VII before. Like, every area in that game is so unique and so different. Like, I can totally see that at the scale Square wants to remake it. Yeah, that's going to be ridiculous. Like, there's no modern RPG at the scale of Final Fantasy VII.
I mean, I guess this is a question for all of you. Any of you can hop in with your idea on this one. So originally the plan was for it to be an episodic game. I feel like we're far enough in. Do you think that they can still do that? Do you think that waiting 5 years for episode 1 of this thing would like...
Yes, and because Hajime Tabata, the director of FF15, someone asked him, like, I want to say 3-4 months ago, hey, like, Because FF7 seems to be in like development issues. Are you going to take over that like how he took over FF15? And he's like, no, like, this is Nomura's project, but I would totally be willing to develop the second game. So, like, clearly internally at Square Enix.
But do you think they expand it, right? Because, like, they're sort of thought
no.
episode 1.
They always said, though, that the episodes, quote unquote, are full games. They're not. This is not being broken up into, like, when you think episodic, it's not that, These are full-ass games. It's like how the 13 trilogy is, right? Like, there's the 3 separate games. That's kind of what they envision for FF7. I don't know.
I feel like it will engender some negativity when you like have waited for 7 years and then you like leave Midgar and it goes like credits. You're like that would be
if it ends at
people,
Midgar,
right?
that's a mistake.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it needs to go. I was like when it was first announced, I thought they'll go to the end of Midgar because they'll do like 1 a year or whatever, But like this time, with this amount of time they've invested, like you have to go further. You have to go to at least like the end of the first disc.
Yeah, but I think that was always the plan. I think the plan was always each FF7 game has to be a game in its own right. A full $60 product. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes.
So,
but I don't think we'll see it again until Microsoft and PlayStation are ready to talk about their next consoles, honestly.
Next gen, yeah. So this is the one we don't even think it'll show up at next E3 period. It'll be like 2 E3s.
It will not be at E3 2019. I promise you that.
You heard it here first, guys.
Yeah.
Some people were so sure that it was going to come out in 2019.
People wanted to believe, and it's hard. I mean, like poor Saf, right? Saf was, when they announced the Square Enix conference, he's like, the reason that they had the conference is because of FF7 Remake. That was not the case. That was not the case. Instead, it was for Babylon Fall, I guess, was why they decided to have that conference. And speaking of the reason that I thought they were having that conference, another game we didn't see at E3, the announced Avengers game from Crystal Dynamics.
Yeah.
Yeah, what the hell? They said we would hear about this game this year. They announced the E3 conference. You would think, all right, they're using this to officially reveal the Avengers project. But no.
Infinity War just came out. Avengers as a brand is the hottest it's ever been. This is the moment.
Where is this game?
Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing. And I guess a question about this one specifically. How much do you think the movies are interfacing with how they develop the game, right? Because the problem is that by the time this game may come out, the Avengers that they started with when they were developing this game starting last year, and the one that will be the Avengers in like the popular consciousness after when the game comes out could be very different.
Sure.
Black Panther wasn't a thing when this game went into development. Doctor Strange was only kind of a thing. Like a lot of the stuff that like people will now be asking for in a video game, that might not have been in the development docket. Do you think that there's the temptation to add that stuff in and therefore delay the game and showing it off?
I would assume, I don't know how forward thinking they are with this one, but I'm sure Marvel had some sort of tie-in idea, right? When they went to Square with this idea. So I'm sure they had somewhat of an idea of, hey, this game will take this long to come out and whatever, right? Like this is who will be relevant at the time. But I imagine, like, regardless of who like Black Panther and Doctor Strange, like you said, those are popular now. But like, I think you can get away with, the original core set of Avengers, right, with Iron Man and Captain America. And
well, that's another question, and I guess I'll throw this one to Noah because this is, I think, a type of game that like I'm sort of in, but like might have to sell you more on it. Like, what type of game would this have to be, do you think? Like, what do you want from an Avengers game at this point?
That's a tough question.
Because it's like they are so disparate heroes, right? Like, what Thor does, what Hulk does, what Captain America does, what Iron Man does, are all very different. And like, how do you combine those together, I guess?
I don't know, maybe like a 3D action game, like, what's it called? Not like, I guess in the style of like Devil May Cry / any 3D fighter, basically.
Would you want it to be multiplayer?
It was like each character would have their own abilities and movesets.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it'd still be difficult to make like. I mean, they could always follow like some of the movie plots and like expand on it, or like even merge some of them and put them together.
I mean, like, it's hard, right? Would you want it to be multiplayer, I guess, is a question, right? Like, would you want the idea of, like, I'm going to be Cap, you're going to be Hulk? Would that be interesting?
That would be pretty sweet. I mean, in the past, I had, like, Avengers games, and there were beat-em-ups, like 2D side-scrollers, so...
So, I mean, that could work, I suppose. So, let me see here. So, that's sort of... Those are, like, the third-party ones, I would say, by and large, that I want to, like, touch on. I went and I was looking at all this, and I saw, oh man, there's just a lot of Nintendo that was MIA, right? Because they were focusing on 2018. But I think the conversation on Nintendo and when these games will be announced is interesting because unlike Square or Ubisoft or those other companies that we've mentioned, they have a much more year-round announcement cycle, right, with the Nintendo Directs. So I guess we'll lead off with a thing that we're doing that we mentioned on this podcast, heavily rumored. Star Fox Grand Prix, right? That was a game that we know. I mean, the people that leaked it said not to expect it at E3 this year, but people didn't believe them and expected it anyways. And so I guess my question is, like, with Star Fox Grand Prix, do you think that's a game that they say for E3 next year? Do you still think it's real, I guess, is another question. And if not, when do you expect to see the announcement?
I think it's real. Still. And I think we won't see it at E3 next year. Or maybe we will, but I don't think it might. It might not be the first time we hear about it.
Okay, so you're expecting an announcement prior
Nintendo
to?
does, multiple Nintendo Directs throughout the year. So, they could definitely drop it in a, maybe one late this year, maybe one early next year, like a. What month did we get one in? Like March or some shit this year?
We got January and April.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think we'll probably get that game announced early next year, 2019.
Mm-hmm. The mythical January Direct. By the way, our friend Saf is here. Hello, Saf.
Hello.
But we're talking about Star Fox Grand Prix. Like Brandon was saying, you think the January Direct. So, do you...
I mean, like, well, here's the thing about Nintendo, right? Like, they announced a brand new Super Smash Brothers game in the middle of March,
Yeah.
So it's like, Nintendo doesn't live in a world where they have to only save the big stuff for E3 anymore. Like, that's not a thing they have to do, It's
sure.
Right.
Any time of year, you could have a Nintendo Direct and announce a big game. That's just the way it is now, So it's like...
I mean, yeah, like, there's still the potential for a 2018 game to come out, like it'd be...
Right. So it's like, I could see this game literally be announced, I don't know, maybe this fall for early 19, Who knows,
Yeah.
So yeah,
well,
I don't know.
So you think it comes out before... You think there's the potential for it to come out before E3
I think there's the potential, but I would lean towards it coming out in the latter half of the year, of course. But I wouldn't be surprised, though, if we see this game show up in, like, September,
I mean, I could see it getting announced, like I said, in January and then coming out in, like, June.
Sure, yeah, and that's totally possible, right? Like, they did that with Mario Tennis Aces,
Yeah.
And more than ever, Nintendo has shortened their reveal to release schedules, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Smash Brothers is releasing in the same fucking year it was announced. So, like, and those are known for 2-year-long hype cycles,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. We're in a new world.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's the thing, right? And, like, I guess I have this question. Do you think that, even if it comes out before E3 next year, if you think that it comes out after... how do you think they position this game, right? Do they try to position it as a big title? Do you think that, like,
Yes,
it's a spotlight type game where, like, you'll get the Direct that's like, where I have other stuff, but here's a full look into Star Fox Grand Prix?
Yeah.
I mean, if they did that with fucking Mario Tennis, they will do that with Star Fox. I mean, this is Retro Studios is one of their premier studios, right? Like, when they release a game, it's an event, right? And even Star Fox generally just gets pretty good treatment from Nintendo, right? Like Star Fox Zero was the cornerstone of their E3 2015, you know?
Shigeru Miyamoto loves Star Fox, and that man has pull within the company, right? He loves those little furry creatures.
And so I think no matter what, this game will get a big showing, you know, like Nintendo will make it seem like a big deal whenever they want to show it off, you know? Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so I guess we'll just keep trucking down this Nintendo track. This is one that is officially announced. It was officially announced years ago at this point, just a very long time. Shigeru Miyamoto said that Pikmin 4 was in the final stages of its development.
Yeah.
That was 4 years ago now.
Pikmin 4. Yeah, I mean...
So what do we feel? Do we feel like Pikmin 4 is actually closer to happening than it was when he said that? Do we think that it's
I would hope
in development? Okay, you would hope so. But Pikmin 4 feels like it will just show up one day, fully formed in our laps, right? Like they could shadow drop Pikmin 4.
I mean, literally, that's a game you could announce and it'll be out within 2 months. You know, like I don't know if Pikmin 4 needs like this big,
a long drawn out process for it.
Yeah, so it's like I don't know, like Pikmin 4 will. I think it'll be out by end of next year. You know, you would have to assume, right? Like it's been quite a while since Miyamoto said that this is happening.
Sorry, what'd you say, Noah?
How old is Pikmin 4 announcement, really?
Oh, Saf, sorry, my bad. How old is what?
The announcement for Pikmin 4, because he announced it ages ago.
It was like 4 years ago, dude. It was genuinely like 2014.
It was.
It's bound to be announced by now, surely.
And it's like because Pikmin has a history of this. He did this with Pikmin 3 too. You know, like
I think literally,
we're almost done.
I think as soon as the seeds of like what he wants to do for the next game comes up, he goes and has to tell someone, "Hey, we're working on Pikmin." Like, I don't know. Who's
worth it keeping secrets?
He clearly is very excited for Pikmin all the time. You know, like this is like for some reason this is like his most beloved franchise. You know,
that and Star Fox. He just feels it. It just makes him feel happy.
The fact that it hasn't been announced at E3 is a genuine surprise, and it would be even more surprising if it doesn't even get announced in 2018. Like it's been that long.
Yeah, I mean we'll see. I could see it announced literally any time between now and next E3, you know?
Yeah.
But we do think it's before next E3, hopefully?
I would assume so. I would hope so.
I kind of expected it to be honest with you.
What if we just found out that Pikmin 4 is the next console?
I guess also the issue with Pikmin specifically, the producer who works on Pikmin also is heavily involved with 2D Mario, that production group, and 2D Mario, I assume, is a priority. You know, considering that sells like 10 to 30 million units. You know, so like I don't know. Maybe that's why we haven't seen Pikmin, because you know other Nintendo, like I'm sure it's in pre-production at least, but like you know maybe just other Nintendo projects took precedence. You know, Breath of the Wild needed like literally all of Nintendo. You know, I'm sure, like
to happen,
yeah. So, like, yeah, it's just, I just think it's a matter of priorities.
Do we think that Do we think that it's fine if it's just another Pikmin game?
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure. I mean, like, Pikmin is not a series that needs a reinvention or anything, and it's like, it's not like, you know,
sure.
Yeah.
That won't stop Miyamoto.
Nope. The whole point of fucking F-Zero not coming is because they can't think of something new.
I mean, yeah, I guess. It's a weird thing with, especially that F-Zero answer is infuriating, right? Because it's just like, we can't think of anything new, and then you look at all the other franchises that are very iterative, and you're like, okay, if you say so.
Can I talk about what specifically I want in Pikmin 4, though? Like, I think, because a lot of people like Pikmin 2 for a good reason, right? I think one of the best parts about Pikmin 2 were its multiplayer aspects, and even Pikmin 3 had a lot of fun multiplayer stuff, but not co-op stuff, you know? And I think if they would go all in on online co-op and versus modes, you know, like have the whole game be playable in co-op, I think that would be great for Pikmin. That's just me. I think that's a good direction.
I think that's a fun game to play with other people.
Yeah.
So there's that. Next on the Nintendo docket, we have a game that a lot of people were expecting. A lot of people were very mad not to see it. We got an announcement of it last year. Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah.
That one I was not surprised that it didn't show up. Like, I did not expect it to show up.
I think I think a lot of people that don't follow closely were surprised that it didn't show up, right? Because they sort of thought, you showed the logo last year, here's the year you pay it off, right? But like, if you follow the development, you get that it probably wasn't coming this year, probably wasn't coming.
Yeah.
Probably. So I guess the question is, do we think that there is the potential for Metroid before E3 next year?
There's one single venue that they could possibly do that, and that's the Game Awards. I really think that. I think if you go back to 2014, right, and like Nintendo loves the Game Awards, you know, like they always ever since its new version where it's been Jeff's show. They've always been heavily involved. They're on the advisory board. They always have a big reveal, right? Mm-hmm. Literally, the only year that they didn't was, because of the
first
passing of
gameplay of Breath of the Wild.
But the first time we saw the brand new Legend of Zelda game was at the Game Awards. Like, that's a big deal,
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, this is like a Western thing as well with a Western audience. So, of course, they would feel so like Metroid would be the perfect fit for it.
It's a perfect match with the target audience, like the kind of people who watch the Game Awards would be super into Metroid Prime, Yeah. So like, if it's not at E3, I think it's at the Game Awards. I think that's where we would see it. But
I mean, we all collectively agree that we kind of expect it to be in 2019 as well. So if it's not at the Game Awards, it's kind of concerning at that point.
Yeah, I mean, there's the potential for it to be a highlight game at their E3 next year, Like, I think that that there's enough interest in it where you can say, hey, we're going to have Metroid. Take a look out. This is going to be a thing. Like, I think that'll get the E3 audience specifically engaged, right? Like, in the same way, like, Metroid is not always a colossal seller, but I think it has a lot of cachet within the hardcore audience that watches E3.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And so I think that there's the potential there, too. Do we think that it comes out in 2019 at this point, or do we just shrug our shoulders?
I still hold on.
I'll say before E3 2020. I don't know if it's, I don't know if that means late 19 or early 20. But I could either or. I guess the question is though, we all expect it to show up next E3 in some capacity though, right? I wonder though, do you think Metroid has the same? Because for the last 3 years, Nintendo's E3 strategy has been hyper focused on one game. Like from Breath of the Wild to Odyssey to Smash. And I know they had other announcements last year. I know they had other announcements this year. But like the main billing for E3 for all 3 of those years was just one specific game, right? And I wonder, can you do that with Metroid?
I would say it would be closer to an Odyssey type than a Breath of the Wild or a Smash one, right? Okay. Like those, like if you look at the Mario Odyssey one, it was the trailer at the end, and then we're just going to show you gameplay at Treehouse, but like an hour long of gameplay, and we're going to like theme our booth around it. But like the presentation itself was not heavily Mario focused, or at least it wasn't the majority of it, right? Where Zelda was all that there was there, and Smash was pretty damn near close to it, like it was just it was so much.
Because like Nintendo, like 2 years ago, didn't even have like an actual direct or anything like that. It's like, oh no, we don't have much to show. Oh, we don't plan to show much other than just like show off what we are hoping to like get out there, and it's Zelda. This.
I mean, and like Bill Trinan said about Metroid, right? Like he said like we announced it early on because it was early on in the Switch's lifespan, and at that point you want to make announcements that are further out because it gives confidence in consumers, and that's why like. Normally we like to do a year away, but this time we did more. And so I think that sort of firmly puts it in the camp of they plan on it coming out in 2019, at least, I think.
For sure.
Who knows what happens along the way, development-wise, right? Because they're willing to delay a game.
Mm-hmm.
And then, last but not least, this one is one that, in my heart, it wasn't even heavily rumored, it's just there's such a desire for it. I want it so bad. It's Animal Crossing.
Oh, I know.
I'm out.
Do we believe in Animal Crossing?
I will. Yes, of course I believe in Animal Crossing. It's got to come to the Switch. There's no doubt about it. But are you asking, do I believe it will come next year?
Do you think it'll come next year? Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's funny, because Because it's funny, because in the first year of E3, or of the Switch, I remember having conversations with people being like, dude, Animal Crossing gotta be out by E3 2018. What have they been doing? It's been so long since New Leaf. And then here we are now. But I think I agree with you, Brandon. I think, like, Animal Crossing is one of those games, like Moose said, that is like, it can be 3 months out and you'll be fine, you know?
It's gonna sell fucking, like...
Every year, it's just like every year, last year and this year both, I was like, Animal Crossing, it's gotta be here, you know, it's like, it's this holiday, and it's like, no, it's not, and then, where is it? Where's Animal Crossing? I don't know. Yeah, it just...
Though I am curious on a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Animal Crossing has the pacing for an E3?
No. I think...
Do you think this is a direct announcement?
This is definitely...
I mean, no, you could announce it at E3. I mean, they announced fucking Kirby and Yoshi at E3, you know? I don't know if there's...
I think
Yoshi was the one I cut from the list, by the way. Yoshi is MIA, but I don't want to talk about it.
I think what Will's trying to say is, like, is it, like, big enough to be, like, it's a headline announcement or some shit like that? Is that right? Like...
Well, I mean, sort of. I think it's two things, right? I think that, like, you look at, like, Pokemon. Pokemon is a game that is too slow paced for a good E3 demo. It just is. By the nature of what it is, I liked Pokemon Sun and Moon. The Treehouse demo for Sun and Moon made me worried about that game because they just take so slow. And Animal Crossing is not a game you can show off at Treehouse. You know, it's not a game that you probably could, but like you would be checking in like 5 times a day for 5 minutes. You know, you cannot do an hour and a half like you can do with Smash. You know. And so I guess I feel like Animal Crossing is the perfect like March announcement, you know, the perfect like it's coming out in like August. We're going to announce it 6 months beforehand. Here you go. Right. Like I think that it's the perfect type of game that the Nintendo Direct audience shows up for because it plays very well to the hyper engaged Nintendo fan and to the broader audience, you know, like Animal Crossing is a sales juggernaut in a way that we don't think about, you know, like New Leaf did insane numbers on the 3DS. And so I think that like they should get it on the system. They should have it announced by next E3 in my mind, just because like there's such a fervor for it at this point.
Yeah, no, you're right in that respect. Like it's one of those unique games that can never be properly demoed because you can't really fully get out what the type of game it is. Like it's like playing half an hour of Stardew Valley. It's like, okay, this is how get it. This is what the game is. Understand the fun of that game in half an hour. It's just like not really a good way to present it, and there's a lot more going on in this that you end up missing out, or you won't be able to get to full experience. So it's no. I mean, I don't think it will ever work at all.
But I think it works well for like a focus direct, you know, like how they did with like Mario Tennis, where they were just like, here's 5 minutes where it's like, we're not showing you a long span of gameplay. We're showing you like, here's all the new stuff you can do. Look how cute all these animals are. You're gonna have a good time. We promise.
Maybe
like, I think that's a fine way to show off that game.
Sorry, I was about to just jump off and say something completely random. Yeah, no, that would be a good idea to do it, and I think that would be the best way forward with that game. I mean, you can certainly have it at E3, but not in a big capacity as you would as other games.
Though I would love the booth to be just Animal Crossing time.
You and Brandon.
That'd be very good. Me and Brandon. Brandon?
Yes.
What is your one hope for Animal Crossing Switch?
My one hope?
I can give you mine if you want to think on it.
No, I got it. My one hope is seamless transitions to travel to each other's towns.
That's precisely mine.
Oh,
make that gate open all the time. Don't make me open the gate.
Yes, I want my friends as soon as I turn that game on. I just want to be able to have my friends pop up just all the time. It's just the gates are open. You can jump in and out. It's very seamless. There's there's a friend here. Let's stop everything and show you that they're here. It's just all of a sudden they run by and hey, Will, you're in my town. How's it going, buddy? You know? And
I put 1,000,000 pitfalls everywhere, you fool!
Yes.
I've done it.
I want your friends to be able to sneak into your town without you even knowing.
Oh god, that would be chaos. This suddenly Animal Crossing goes from a very relaxing game to a very stressful game.
The griefing will be insane.
But I just want it to be very seamless. It was always jarring before when you had to. Oh, hey, can I come to your town? Yeah, hold on, I'm in the middle of this. Let me, stop what I'm doing here and run all the way to the top of the town and open the gate. And then your friend shows up and everything stops and shows a cutscene and shows them walking slowly through the game. I don't want that.
I am shocked.
Yeah.
I remember playing the DS version. I remember the online, getting the friends to join you was a painful experience. I am shocked that they haven't fixed it in 2 games. Or 2 iterations of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's been marginal improvements, but it's not where you want it to be. You know, you want it to be this thing where you feel like friends are coming to visit your town, right? Just like you have a small town, people knock on your door just to visit. They don't announce. They're just there, and you open your door to them because that's how living goes in Animal Crossing.
My house is your house. Come visit.
Mm-hmm. Our house is your house. What a beautiful sentiment. And you know what? All these games that didn't get announced, if they ever want to make their official announcements through the major corporations on this here podcast, our house is your house, right? Call us Ubisoft. Suddenly we'll be the biggest Splinter Cell fans you've ever seen.
Yes.
But that is the Last Guardian Memorial Missing in Action segment. May all these games find their way to safe lands, hopefully by next E3. But that is, since there was a lot of news, that was sort of what we did to just sort of have a conversation about video games. But now we move on to the important business, to the serious business, to the big event every single podcast. The list. And this week we have a special, oft delayed, but extremely anticipated. Saphir, it is your moment to add something to the list. What are you bringing to the table, my friend?
Shit. Okay. No, the reason why I say shit is because I have a game where I think one of the persons who will be able to talk about this game has fucked off. Nier.
Nier, the first one?
Nier game.
Okay.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Dude,
Oh man, I haven't played that game.
God damn it! Wait, does anyone else play the game?
Yeah,
I
don't
played
know.
the game.
Oh, thank God.
We got you covered, Saf. Don't you worry. So Nier. So what is Nier, Saf?
Nier is a weird ass game. It's supposed to be a spin-off for Dragon Card 1.
It is in the same
It
universe,
is in
yes.
the same universe, where it's like one of those endings, the weird endings that you get through. What it is just basically one of those apocalyptic futures, I guess, where it's like you get set like fucking thousands of years in the future, where humanity's on the brink of like the end, but you've kind of like learned to live in the environment, the shitty environment that you've developed for yourself or that created for you, and in that story, what happens is like you're a father for this girl who's sick, and you have to first off try and find a cure for your daughter, and then you just meet some interesting characters, shall we say, and that's when shit hits the fan. Actually, no, that's not when shit hits the fan. When shit hits the fan is when you play the game again, and then you
and again,
and you just realize like what the fuck is going on here. Like, this is the most insane thing.
So I mean, I guess it's worth mentioning. This is now a name that means a lot more after the sequel to this game, Nier Automata. But it's a Yoko Taro game. He also did the Drakengard games, and he's very known for being just a crazy person, right? Like just making crazy games, right? Like games that are weird and dark and challenging, like thematically, right? But he's also, before Nier, was known for making those types of games, but it's sort of being a struggle to play the game itself, right?
Sure.
Like the not always the most well polished product.
No.
So can you sort of speak to that intersection of like an engaging story while maybe the game itself was not always the most fun to play?
Yeah, like there was a lot of it that was kind of like, I would say clunky a little bit. Like it was kind of slow and kind of clunky in that respect, like in terms of game feel. That makes sense. The game itself, like the first, it's slow. The slowness like never actually fully sets in until you like play this game again, and you're going through the first half of the game, like before the desert, and you're just like, it's like the most fucking diabolical dread that you can possibly go through when you're playing this the second time, and you can really, really feel like just the lack of motivation to continue playing this game because of how like boring it is. Like just there's no excitement in the gameplay whatsoever.
Yeah, that's the issue I had. Like, I played through it, I enjoyed it, but then it's like when you beat the game the first time, it's like, but at the time when I played it and beat it, I didn't know I had to play multiple times to get the full experience / story. Mm-hmm. So like when I beat the game, I was just left like, what the fuck? What just happened? Ending. And it's just like, oh, okay. But there's like in no way the game indicates that you have to play through the game to unveil everything. Yeah. So I just assumed that was the end of the game. I was just left with a fucking what the fuck feeling.
Yeah.
And dude,
but like later on when I found out, oh, you have to play it multiple times, like I'm not playing through that fucking shit. It took me hours to beat that game.
Now later playthroughs, after the first replay through, you only have to do the second half of the game, which is nicer. But yeah, I mean, like that's the thing, right? It's like both part of the charm is also like you have to be willing to sign up for it. You know, you have to be willing to like go on that what can be frustrating journey at times for the potential of the payoff.
For sure.
Like don't get me wrong, the game was fun for what it was, but I'm not playing the same fucking shit for like another 40 hours.
No.
So, all that having been said, Saf, where do you want to put it on the list?
I want to put it below Shadow of Memories.
I was willing to put it above Shadow of Memories.
Okay. Because, like, the story is fantastic. Like, I love the twist that they put in this game. Whereas, like, as soon as you play it the second time and you, like, you literally open yourself up to an entirely different perspective and narration of this game. Like, a lot of it is just really, really good. It's a real shame that it's just let down, like, from, like, the gameplay as well as, like, the side quest aspect of this game. Like, the game part of the game is just not that fun. Mm-hmm. So,
I mean...
Sorry, go on.
For me, personally, the reason why, like, I would put it above Shadow of Memories is because I think Shadow of Memories has a lot of sort of similar problems, right? Of, like, a very interesting story, neat ideas, I guess the way I would present Shadow of Memories, and, like... But the gameplay sort of isn't always conducive. Like it's sort of the worst part of that overall experience, you know, like for both of them, I think, you know, and both of them like use it in interesting ways to like reinforce their story, but the actual moment to moment gameplay isn't always the most enjoyable. And I think that I was more engaged by Nier's story than I was by Shadow of Memories' story. So like,
yeah, that's where I would say the opposite. I was a lot more engaged with Shadow of the Memories than I was with Nier. But that's just me. So, I agree with Seth. I think it should go below Shadow of Memories.
Also, I just want to make mention that the soundtrack in Nier is
phenomenal.
Oh yeah, the soundtrack's good.
It's incredibly good, right? Like it's just
really good.
So, like I think that those are the reasons, and that I like sort of I have. I mean, they're both games that like you could sort of probably get the best gameplay experience potentially out of just watching a YouTube playthrough. But I think for me, Nier like has like really neat moments that like utilize the medium of video games. Like I don't want to get too spoiler heavy, right? But like it does a trick that gets used again sort of in other that gets used in other Yoko Taro games. But the first time that I saw the impact of it, right, which is sort of spoilers, I guess, for the next like 15 seconds, you know, when you get to the end and you give up your ending, you give up your save, essentially, right? Like, you get erased from history is, like, what you do to sacrifice to help reset things. But that means that's not just the character, that's you, because you are the character, right? So you lose your save. You can never make a save again under that name. You know, like, that type of stuff, to me, I thought was very neat.
Yeah, I can't believe I forgot about that sort of thing. Because they do try different gameplay styles and different things. Like, there's a moment where the forest, where it's just, like, a text adventure game, basically, that you go through. And there's also like this little fucking shoot-em-up shit that's going on. It does have a lot of neat... it does have a lot of neat gameplay modes. I haven't played enough of Shadow of Memory to like actually figure out if there was any neat little gameplay modes like that.
Yeah, if it had more like moments like that, I would have been more motivated to play through the game again, but it was just like...
You know what? Actually, I might just.
And the story wasn't that engaging for me to motivate me, like to move, like to say, okay, I'll go through it because I really want to find out what the story is. Like, story was good, but it's just like, again, not enough to make me play through the game again.
I kind of want to side with Bill now because I completely forgot about that aspect of this game, like the little differences or the little changes in gameplay that they tried to do with this game. I want to just put above Shadow of Memories.
Oh, what's Brandon gonna say?
I can't say anything. I have no opinion here because I haven't played the game. So.
So, I mean, I guess if that's the case, Moose is not available to cast the deciding vote. So, I mean, do you want to make a final argument for it being below Noah, or
yeah, go for it. Make a final.
No. So, Saf, you changed your mind or no?
I'm about to change my mind, but if you can make a final argument in relation to this, I might just stay left.
I mean, pretty much spoken what we wanted to say. So.
Okay.
It's fine. I'm gonna.
Well, then I guess by.
Put above Shadow of Memories.
Go ahead. Sorry. Okay, so by a close vote, they're very similar.
Yeah, they're very similar.
Right? Like they sort of both have that position. But there it is, the very first Nier for the PlayStation 3, the one where which one is it? The one where he's a young man or an old man? Saf, this is important.
Old man forever.
Old man. I think that's Gestalt. So Nier Gestalt is it's Replicant. I mean, anyways, there it is, number 23 on our list. Below Until Dawn at 21, Alundra at 22, and then above Shadow of Memories at 24 and Nintendo Land at 25. That is the list. That is the podcast for this week. Well, thank you all for listening. This is the part of the year where, sun's out, guns out. It's fun to be outside. But we appreciate you taking the time to listen to us, to have a conversation about video games. But we do video games. We do things besides just this podcast under this here umbrella that is the Jump Up Supercast. We have the Game Club, which happens every other week. We are doing it this Thursday. It's Drill Dozer, a Game Boy Advanced, underrated. I guess cult classic might be the word. I don't know what the word is, but it's a fun game, and we're going to have a conversation about it. So look forward to that. Moose and I's betting results got delayed a little bit because Moose was doing a lot of real-life traveling this week, but we will get the results of that, which will have implications for our Twitch channel. Which, Brandon, can you tell us about what's going on the Twitch channel?
I can always tell you what's going on the Twitch channel because I love the Twitch channel. Twitch is my second place, my home away from home. We play video games there a couple days a week usually. Every Monday, the golf club has been indefinitely suspended for
rebranded.
Rebranded.
I said rebranded. It's rebranded.
We've switched it up now. It's the co-op club. So every week we're going to be playing some co-op games on there. Me and Noah, last week we started playing Unravel 2. Oh boy, what a treat that game is.
It was good.
Oh, it's so good. We're probably going to play it again this Monday, so if you want to swing by and watch us, and who knows, anytime you just want to swing by, we will be playing something. What were you going to say, Will?
I was watching the archive of that stream.
Yeah.
And if I have one word for it, heartwarming. Yeah. My heart was warmed by watching Unravel 2 and you two playing it.
We said we a lot. Like, just wee! Everything we were doing. It's a blast. That game's great. So, yeah, that's Mondays. Tuesdays, that's up in the air, but hopefully Will's going to be taking that.
Intermittently, I will stream. Intermittently. We'll see.
We'll see. Every Wednesday, though, I can guarantee you, Brandon Wednesdays, it's a thing. I play whatever the heck I want to. It doesn't matter. Sometimes it's the Game Club games. Sometimes, Will joined me for Sea of Thieves last week. I'm just switching it up. I'm playing whatever I want. It feels good. I just come hang out and watch me play video games and either get mad, sad, or be happy.
Glad.
And then Thursdays... That's usually Terraria with Saf and Noah. We'll see what's going on with that, but there's at least a couple streams a week We're playing video games. We're having fun. Come by. Maybe we'll have a group stream again sometime soon.
You want to know the best way to know when we are live on Twitch?
What is that?
Please tell me.
By following us on Twitch and Twitter, where every time we go live, you will get a notification.
Oh my god, seriously, you can do that now?
With the age of the internet, you don't even have to keep track of things anymore.
Oh my god, I need to find out on Twitter.
Yes.
What is...
Yes, it's time. Now's the time. The Twitter, that is, and when you make your Twitter, Saf, go to @JumpUpSupercast to follow us.
Yeah.
As well as finding us.
If you don't have a Twitter, which you probably don't, because it's kind of a new thing, you should.
Yeah, it's up and coming.
Shit. Jump Up Supercast. That's the Twitter name. Got it.
Yeah, that is, and it's also the name of our Twitch channel, and that, our friends, is the podcast for this week. I want to thank you all for watching. We haven't had the game the last couple weeks, so we really haven't had anyone that could officially get the final phrase. So I guess at this time, we want you to imagine in your mind's eye, think of 3 years from now, when you are sitting there and you're looking at your Animal Crossing village. You're imagining how much time you've put in, hundreds of hours at this point, and then a man walks in. He's got bald. He's got a beard on his face. He's got a t-shirt of an anime girl, and all he has is just 100 pitfalls. And suddenly, you can't escape from your home ever again. That is the future that Brandon wants. That's the future that Brandon desires. And I think we should all be afraid.